Did they say what kind of tea this was?
I read what you texted me verbatim, and they're like, we don't have that, but it's something that's like extremely similar.
What?
I'm like, okay.
Who doesn't have that? That's ridiculous.
They said that here's a kicker. You know what they said?
What did they say?
They said we don't have decaf, but we have non-caffeinated.
Hey, what? Very weird. I've always just said, do you have decaf tea? And they know what I mean. Weird. It's good, though.
Guys, welcome to another edition of The Cook and the Coach. I'm Beza. I'm the coach.
I'm Kenny. I'm the cook. Welcome.
Welcome, guys. We have some special guests. They're on their way. They'll be here soon. We're going to get into our cook and coach segments, and then we'll get into our interview with our two amazing guests.
Yes.
Ken, do you want to start off with what you got?
Yes. So for our cooking segment for this week, we're going to keep it short just with the interview, but it's still relatively new into the year, and if you're trying to cook more vegan, I know that's a big thing for a lot of people, whether it's an environmental choice or any other reason. One person that I want to recommend, her name's Rachel Ama. She's from the UK. She's on Instagram and YouTube. If you look up RACHELAMA, just anywhere, you should be able to find her. She's got a website. I bought her cookbook a few months ago, and it's really good. I really like it. And one thing that it's actually really dope that I haven't seen in other cookbooks before, every single recipe that she has, she pairs it with a song. And then she has a playlist on Spotify that basically walks through the whole book. So every recipe has a song associated with it that is like the vibe of the dish. It's just really cool. I haven't seen someone do that before in a book.
Sounds really cheesy, but that actually sounds kind of dope.
Yeah.
Like as you're like cooking, preparing shit,
Sure.
like you're listening to the playlist. That's such kind of cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really interesting too. She's into hip hop, and so that a lot of it's like chill kind of. There's some like UK hip hop in there and stuff, but it's good, and like the design of it's nice. So I definitely recommend that. If you haven't had any of her stuff before, you haven't cooked any of her recipes, one that I want to recommend that's actually just on her website, not even her book. It's the chili, ginger, and quinoa stir fry recipe. It has become a personal go-to for me. It's really good. There's just a bunch of different vegetables that are incorporated in it. You're mixing the noodles with the quinoa, which is something I hadn't done until this. And one tip, something I like to do that's not in the recipe, I like to broil the broccolini rather than just throw it right into the stir fry. So when you're broiling it, you're adding another textural element to your stir fry, which just adds some dimension. It's a little bit more fun for me. Sometimes I'll broil it, then take it out of the oven, do a quick chop, and then you have these brittle bits. It's really it's a good move. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that. She's my UK vegan wifey. She just doesn't know it yet, and I would
Really?
definitely yeah.
Oh, all right.
So yeah, that's my segment for the week. Try it out.
There we go. For my segment, I'm gonna go on a little 9-second rant here. So recently, I posted to Instagram the video of me squatting 500 pounds for the first time. Listen, for the 95% of all the comments, both on Instagram and in person, were really positive, really supportive. People were, saying congrats, way to go, like keep it up, keep going forward, whatever. But there were just a couple who were saying how, like, you need to stop doing that. You're going to hurt your back. You're going to, you might hurt something. Why do you think why do you have to do all this weight? Like, it's not necessary. I'm not going to say who those people are, but I just want to say, like, think of it this way, right? If you're like a track and field runner, like I was in high school and college, I've seen people like damn near like tear their hamstrings. Should I tell them to stop running because they have a potential to get hurt? No, that's silly. That's stupid. So in the same way, I'm not going to get hurt by doing all this heavy weight and, powerlifting, right? If I use a proper form, proper technique, you shouldn't get hurt. That's also why we use like certain equipment to help us stay in a better position, whether it be a belt, whether it be knee sleeves, wrist wraps, chalk, et cetera, et cetera. We have all these equipment that we use in the sport of powerlifting, bodybuilding, et cetera, to help us stay on track with our movements and keep proper form so you don't get hurt, so you don't do anything wrong that could cause us to slip up. And here's the other thing. I'm a strength and conditioning coach. I've been coaching for years now. As a 2-sport college athlete, I've been lifting weights since I was 13 years old. Like, if there's anyone who knows like what my limits are and like how I should attack like a certain lift, I'm pretty confident I know what I'm doing. So for all of you who have never even touched a barbell, please, I'm not mad at you. Just stay out of my comments and don't tell me what I should and shouldn't be doing with my body. That's all I gotta say. That's it. Right over. Guys, we have 2 amazing guests today. I'm happy to call both of them good friends of mine. Josh Wintz, who is the founder of The Wellness Habit. You can find him on Instagram with that. Also, the founder of J Wintz Bodywork. This guy's helped me immensely over the last 1.5 to 2 years with keeping my body in check, being able to move in the morning. Yeah, we'll talk about more what he does later. And then Quentin Allums, as we call him, Q. Everyone calls him Q, as far as I know. He is the co-founder of Urban Misfit Ventures. He also has a podcast called Strange on Purpose. And then he also has a TED Talk, which we'll get into later as well. So I'm a big fan of these guys. Glad I got to connect with these guys, whether it's in person or on social media. Should we get an interview?
Yeah, let's get into it. I'm so excited.
All right.
Dude, I was going to say this, and I thought this forever ago, and I just remembered it recently. In high school, you had the hat that you wore like on the side.
Yes.
And then, and literally it like defied gravity. And I always was like, God damn, he's so cool. I wish I could wear a hat like that. I think I told you this once, like,
What?
I've always wanted to be a hat guy, and I never have.
You could be, man.
I couldn't,
Totally
but it's
cool.
not true.
You
It's
got
not
the
true.
beard right now,
It's a
outfit.
scrub. It's a
You're
scrub.
gonna wear this after. We're gonna
Dude, we'll try it, but literally 8th grade, this is so embarrassing, but literally in 8th grade, I was like, I think I'm a fedora man now.
I know this face.
And I went to
Yep.
Target and I bought like a black fedora.
This is why I've always thought you were so cool. It's
And
clear.
but here's the thing. This is why it was so embarrassing. Like, I only wore it at my house, and then I would take it off, and I would go out in public, and I would just have my normal head of hair, and then I would come home and put on my hat. Like, this is really me. Is it really me? I don't think so. And
Damn.
eventually, it just disappeared into the ether of my little siblings, like
I'm not
stuffed
sure if we're
animals.
going or not, but if so, this is the best and the weirdest intro I've ever had.
I do that same thing, just
Really?
not with a hat. I do it with a mustache. So
Oh,
I
really?
always-
Oh, shit.
whenever I'm shaving my beard, like for drill, because I have drill once a month, so I got to shave clean every month. I always shave it down into just a mustache. Look at myself for a couple minutes in the mirror, and then make the better decision that
this
I
me?
probably
Is this
should.
me?
Yeah, probably. It's just not a good look.
Man. Man.
Amazing.
Base, have you ever had like something that you've like tried out as like a phase to see if it was you?
5th grade. I don't know why I did this, but everyone in 5th grade was like gelling their hair so like it spiked in the front. So I tried to do that with my hair.
A faux hawk. I had a faux hawk.
No, it wasn't a faux hawk. It was like I had short hair, but I had just enough where I could like
big
try and make a
hawk.
little spike in the front. But I didn't realize I had like different hair than all the white kids in my class. So and it just wasn't a good look.
Am I white? Am I not white?
Like
What's
the
happening?
gel would like flake like later on in the day. Like it was just after a couple weeks I had to stop. It was just
Dude,
it wasn't
I've,
good
I've
look.
had some hair phases, man. I straightened my hair in college. It was not a good look, man.
That's hilarious. I had one hair. I think my worst hair phase. I tried to grow out my hair, and my hair is fine. It's like it doesn't work well long, and I would try different products to keep it like from poofing up and curling and give it some control. And literally, I was in a group hug once, and someone touched the side of my head. And they're like, "It's wet! Oh, why?" And I wanted to disappear. It was just the most. It was the most high school thing of all time, for sure.
High school.
Man,
Yeah, it's weird being back here, man.
right? It's
It looks
crazy.
a lot smaller than I remember, but it's just,
Isn't that weird?
it's crazy. You ever go back to like your grade school or something like that?
Yeah, like the ceilings are lower than I remember.
Everything's just so much smaller.
Closer to it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I don't think we've ever said this officially on the pod, but we're recording in the basement of the high school we went to originally.
Yeah, exactly.
They call it the dungeon. They're like, meet us in the dungeon. Like, what the hell is that? Also, I'm not sorry. Can I swear or not?
Oh, yeah,
say whatever the
totally.
fuck you
Yeah.
want to say.
So we're so happy you guys are here because
Yes.
we're relatively new to our podcast, and I think something that we all have in common is we are business-minded and entrepreneurial, and we're about to start or have started podcasts. And so we were thinking that we could meet up and just talk about why we're interested in what we're interested in, the people that we look up to that we sometimes might want to model or contrast from, and just go from there. Like if that's cool, if we want to do that.
I mean, it's your show, man.
I'll
I'll do whatever.
All right, cool.
Hell yeah.
Well, let's start off first with like introduce yourselves and tell us, what you guys do, what you guys are up to currently.
Awesome. So my name is Josh. I own the Wellness Habit. I don't know if you guys haven't checked it out. Whatever social media platform you're on, come find me. It's a lot about wellness. That's definitely a big thing in today's society. So just looking at people trying to better themselves. So that's really kind of what I wanted to do, is help people with that journey, just because I'm not a car mechanic or I don't know taxes. Like those are things that I don't know. And so there's a lot of the times that like people don't know much about wellness. So that's where I wanted to kind of come in, bring things in my background. And in order to help as much people and as many people as I wanted to, I started a Facebook group called The Wellness Habit. And then out of that, started the Wellness Habit podcast, which will be dropping this Monday, tomorrow, the 27th. Yep. So a lot of that actually just had been wanting to create some more content, and then actually talked to this guy over here, Q, who gave me the great idea of starting a Facebook group as well around that. So huge shout out to him for that idea. So yeah.
I went to Concordia Academy with these two, and I was a loser. But
Not true. That's not true.
now I own a company called Urban Misadventures. It's a weird name, I know. I promise we make money. Essentially what we do is we own two different companies, one being an agency, which is what most people know us for. So we're working with people, companies, brands to help them build influence and make money through video and through strategy, and that's it. Like, we don't touch anything else. Like, sometimes we do some influencer stuff, but really video, strategy, how can we make money with it? Then we also own MK Misfits. I know it's a weird name, but I promise we make money. Where we're really focused on like unique experiences for our community. So fashion shows, pop-ups, things like that. My company also has a podcast called Strange on Purpose, and we're talking to weird people. Like, what made them weird? Like, what makes them weird? How did they get to where they are? How are they leaning into them? So entrepreneurship, culture, things like that. Then I also have a esports podcast because I like video games. And it's just a rapidly growing industry, and there's a lot of money in it, a lot of opportunity in it, and something I've always been interested in. But that is me, and I wear a big black hat for reasons to be named.
So why do you guys do what you do? Like, what made you guys want to start like your business, your podcast? Like, what made you like want to step into it? Because I know me and Kenny have multiple reasons why we want to start ours, but I'm curious what made you guys inspired to.
Very good question. So I've grown up, I had a lot of shoulder pain. I played baseball. A lot of this is going to be in my very first episode of my podcast too. So if you want a little more in-depth story, tune in on Monday. But played baseball, a lot of shoulder pain. Tried multiple different options. Eventually landed on a guy that does body work. Saw him for a couple sessions. Saw a massive improvement. I was taking probably 3 or 4 ibuprofen a game. So not the best thing for you. So saw a lot of improvement, was on his table enough a lot. So then just eventually started talking to him about a one-on-one kind of course through him. And then just started from there with the mindset of helping as many people and have the relief that I had through my pain, and then be able to provide that for other people that had goals and aspirations to whatever it was. So, yeah.
Dope.
Yeah, and for me, I would say like there's a couple different reasons. For the company side, I'm just a really curious person. I like to know everything about everything. I'm always observing. I'm always taking notes. Like, I consider myself a mad scientist that was bad at science. But like, I'm always testing things. So for business, it's like, okay, like I want to know how do you make a brand successful? How do you make a community successful? How do you make money regardless of what it is? You know, how do you build a personal brand? What does it take? So with all the companies we're working with, you know, like I'm learning and I'm tracking it, I'm gathering data so that we can launch our own, you know, so that we can do our own thing, launch our own fashion brand, launch our own personal brands internally. But I just want to know, you know, just curiosity, because I have so many plans in the future. And to be able to do those things, I need to be top notch, you know, I need to understand. So just leaning into my curiosity, and more so on the podcast side, like similar to what you're doing, like I just wanted to talk to people because I don't know anything. Like again, curiosity, like, yo, Beza, like I don't know anything about, like, I've been trying to gain like weight since like freaking 2002. So like I don't know anything about that. But just learning from people that know it. And then on the video game side, like I was toying with this idea of launching a podcast for a long time. And then my little brother passed away, and like honestly it was like whatever it was like a punch to the gut. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And like, he loved video games. He loved things like that. And he'd be way better at all this stuff than I would be. But it was just a punch to the gut. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, and let's just do this. And since then, it's been so cool. You know, I was just hanging out with like the CTO of video games and esports at IBM, you know, and he's based in Minnesota, you know, like
I didn't know that.
The weirdest but most awesome dude. He's like, yeah, I have a publicist now. I was like, dude has like a freaking Russian hat on, like his name on Xbox is like Pushy Bicycle, like the weirdest dude. But like he's hanging out with me and introducing me to people, like so just that happening in my life, which is a big like, okay, like get over whatever's been holding you back, because you already know what you're doing. Just start. But honestly, it's just my curiosity, wanting to learn.
Totally.
For sure.
What about you two?
For me, well, actually, my answer is kind of going to be in a follow-up question to that a little bit. So I think one way that we might be a little bit similar is, I think, we didn't know each other super well in high school, but I just from afar, I could tell that we went through a similar trajectory of having different phases of things that we were interested in. So I know, for example, you did like singer-songwriting. Like I'm currently in that phase.
Yes.
Yeah, I love cooking right now. I've been into that for a few years. I've gone through. I almost did a podcast when I was like 10. Like I was into puppets, like weird shit, like
Dude, that would have been awesome.
Drawing. I know it was like a fictional podcast that was a ripoff of another one that I was listening to. It would have been.
You were listening to a podcast when you were 10?
There was yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah, man. I go back. It was called The Radio Adventures of Dr. Floyd. It was like an educational family podcast.
We're gonna be friends, man. We're
Hell
gonna be
yeah,
friends.
man.
I like it.
So they would go back in time. The bad guy would go back in time to steal artifacts and then come back to the future and sell them on eBay. That was the premise. So then the good guy had to go back in time to stop him.
I didn't even know
And then
what a
you
podcast
teach
was.
about. I know there was only a couple then. So my parents were nerds, so that's why
That is
I
amazing.
even knew about it. But one of the areas that I've been wrestling with personally is I can be so interested in so many different things. Sometimes infatuously, sometimes passionately, sometimes long term. But it can be tough to focus on one particular thing or have a through line. So lately, the way I've approached it is to say that I'm a storyteller with a few different mediums of storytelling. So right now it happens to be food and podcasting and music, but I want to learn more about story and then go from there and let that kind of go to the next thing and the next thing. Do you ever wrestle with that? Because I know I might be wrong. I might just be projecting. But do you ever encounter that type of thing? And how do you handle that?
I would say really, like, when it was really hard for me was when I was like 21, 22.
Okay.
Like, you're in college, like, damn, I'm paying a lot of money to go to college, you know, I'm going to have debt, but what the hell did I just learn? What the fuck did I just learn? What am I going to walk away with? What are my skills? So I was interested in tech. I was working with a virtual reality company, a wearable tech company. I loved writing, you know, I loved music. I loved video games. I loved talking to people. I love psychology. So I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? And someone explained it to me like skill stacking, you know, so identify 3 to 5 things that you love, or 3 to 5 passions, 2 to 5 skills that you're really good at. And don't worry about mastering all of those things, you know, master the intersection of those things. And that's kind of how I look at it. And still today, like, it was when I started my first business, like, I wanted to do a million different things. I wanted to do everything, but everything wasn't going to make me money, you know, and it wasn't until like, damn, I have negative $900 in my bank account. Damn, like, I can't pay my bills this month. Damn, I can't do anything. Like, I can't even buy a fucking chocolate bar if I wanted to, you know, like, and that was real stuff that happened. And I'm like, okay, I got to focus on making money. And yes, I wanted to be a tech guy. Yes, I wanted to be an esports guy, but I had to actually build the first skills first and then just keep building upon that. But I would say if you struggle with a lot of things and you're that jack of all trades or you're interested in everything, just find the intersection. At least that's what's helped me.
Baze, before we go off the topic, how did you get into the world of fitness? What makes you really love it and be passionate about it?
I mean, my first memory ever in my life was sitting on the couch and like watching the Vikings game with my dad. So from then on, athletics,
Skull for life.
So like,
I
since
say that just to piss off Packers fans.
that makes me so happy.
You
to hear
got
that.
it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Don't get too happy because I also see Bear down just to piss them off, man.
Sure.
They were like,
Hey, whoever takes a piss him off,
All
I'm
right,
all
all
for
right,
it. So no, but yeah. So my whole life I've been obsessed with athletics, with sports. So I knew that when I got older, even if I wasn't a pro athlete, I'd be involved in athletics in some capacity, and that led to me being interested in lifting weights and being fit. I mean, I had my mom and my dad buy me my first set of dumbbells when I was like 12, and I would just spend hours just trying to look up different movements on the internet and just get bigger and bigger and stronger. So since I was a kid, it was an obsession that I had, and took that into college, into my major, and now I'm doing it, not full time necessarily, but that's my main job right now, is working as a coach. So
Totally.
You're definitely doing it full time.
I mean,
For sure.
Living the dream, man. That's cool.
I live that dream. I love it.
One thing I was noticing while prepping for this episode is that I think another commonality we all share is we're all at least intrigued with Gary Vee, if not really into him.
Thing about Gary, like I got to meet him in New York. I didn't even plan on it. Like I was there to speak, and then I ended up at some other event, and they're like, "Oh, Gary's here." I was like, "Oh, that's cool," So I was like, "Okay, I'm just gonna position myself in a perfect position to meet this dude." So I waited by the escalator, and I'm like, "All right, I'm gonna meet this guy." And he came through, but he was on a call. So you had like cameras all in your face. Oh my God, Gary! Like D-Rock was there, his team was there. Gary's on a call. He still stopped to shake my hand, which is really cool, and he shook everybody's hand, like while he's on a call. Like if that was me, I'd be pissed off. Like, get the hell out of my face. I'm trying to close a deal right now.
Yeah.
But then he went upstairs, did his keynote. And if you watch any of Gary's content, a lot of times he just opens up for Q&A. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to position myself by a mic, and I have long legs, so I'm going to get to the mic, and I'm going to be there first.
Every advantage that you
Every
can.
advantage, man. Lead into your strengths, man.
Yeah.
But he's like, yeah, I want to really dig deep into building a business, so I'm going to open it up too. And I just... And I dipped to the mic, and I ended up like fourth, but he had two sides, so I was like eighth. And I'm about to talk, and like my legs are shaking. Like, what the hell is wrong with me? Like, I can talk to anybody, it doesn't matter who they are. Like, I'm good, which is kind of weird looking back because I didn't talk to anybody, but like that's what I do, But my legs were shaking, and I was nervous, and I thought about it. And I'm like, damn, I can go back to junior year of college. And I remember my coach walking up these spiral stairs, looking down at me. I was sitting on the chair. I remember everything. He's like, you should really look into this guy named Gary Vaynerchuk, because he is into a lot of stuff that you would probably be interested in. And from that moment, it's like I went down the rabbit hole, and I believed all his shit. And I started a business, and I failed. Started a second business, I failed, lost a lot of money. Started a third business, and things started popping off, And I started creating, people started listening. But I associate that success with Gary. And I think that's what Gary does so well. He's scaling that, which is the most impossible thing to scale. He's scaling the impossible, like those relationships with people. He's impacting people at scale. So I asked him a question. We talked about my dog for a little bit, and I told him my story, and I was just like, yo, can I have a hug? And I knew that I had a hat on, and I have this look, and most people don't look like me, so everybody in that room would know me. I was the only person in that entire day that made his Instagram story. I made the vlog.
Wow.
Wow.
But what I was doing, one, there's no question that I could ask him that would impact my business. I wanted him to remember me, and I wanted this data point, this point in time where our stories aligned, because I don't give a shit about like, yo, Gary, you're amazing, cool. Like, how can you impact me and my business? Like, I just want to be on the same level. I want him to be like, damn, Q, I remember you in 2019. Now 2025, we're on the same level. I respect you. That's really all I want. But really cool dude, and he's scaling the impact, man. Like, which is similar to what I want to do.
That's dope.
A lot shorter in person. I met him.
You met him?
Yeah, I met him Super Bowl weekend.
He's so
Oh,
I was actually working.
he has the
security.
energy of a tiny person. Do you know what I mean?
But,
like
his
feisty.
presence- his
No,
presence
that's
is
what I'm
like
saying.
7 foot.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
That's what I'm
Like,
saying.
I was working Super Bowl weekend security, and he was walking by about to leave, and I just said, "Hey, Mr. Vaynerchuk, like, can I shake your hand?" And he's like, "Oh yeah,
Mr. Vaynerchuk.
I don't know why.
He probably never gets Mr. Vaynerchuk.
So
That's
yeah.
actually a good strategy.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be used to hearing that.
Yeah, so his head like spinning around. He's like, "Oh, hey man," and we like talked for like 2 minutes, and I was like, "Dude, you're so inspiring. Love your stuff. Like, keep doing what you're doing." He's like, "Thanks, man. I really appreciate that." And like, he didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
He didn't have to spend that time like shaking my hand, talking to me. but he did. And I think like I was like, okay, this guy isn't phony. Like this guy's just like really positive, like he says he is on Instagram.
It's exactly who he is.
Yeah.
Online, offline, man, same person. Which is why I respect him. A lot of
Absolutely.
people are just looking at his content like he's fucking annoying, but they're not seeing exactly what he's doing. Dude went from wine to like managing athletes, you know?
Yeah.
Like, incredible.
Amazing, absolutely amazing.
And I saw that you really want to, because you do massages as part of your business, and you're saying that one of the people you would really want to work with or work on would be Gary Vee.
Hands down. I don't know if anybody saw it. Made a video trying, obviously, to get his attention. People trying to tag him. Hasn't happened yet. He's still in town, I believe, unless he's already left. But
Okay.
The COD event, man.
the COD event is happening. Gary Vee is a part owner for Minnesota, so I'll be hopefully seeing him around more. I haven't actually met him yet. He's a busy man. He's always moving. I know he's got neck pain, but low back pain. Gary Vee, if you're listening, I know you got it. Probably shoulder pain.
Getting old,
Yeah,
Gary.
yeah. no. I didn't say that. That was all cute, but no. With all the traveling and everything, a lot of sitting, a lot of time in cars, we can get a lot of our hip flexors get tight, which then pulls our hips forward, which then causes low back pain.
His trainer was from Minnesota, his original one.
Yeah, it's from Bloomington. I just found that out the other day.
Dude, you should reach out
Yeah.
and talk to Jordan Syatt. And the original trainer.
Yeah, we're
was
gonna
from
need to chat.
here.
And then original trainer was from Minnesota, but he was consuming Jordan Syatt's content before he became Gary's trainer. So when he was transitioning out, he's like, "Yo, I remember your stuff from like 10 years ago. Do you want to train Gary?" Like the weirdest connection, man. Like,
Yeah, talking about connections, if I've learned anything in the last 3 going on 4 years now, it is connections are everything. Making connections, talking to people, you can find so many different opportunities. Like when people say, "Oh yeah, I got this job because of a connection," like that, you could have the best resume in the world, and if you don't know someone that has a connection and someone behind you has an average resume but knows somebody in that company, good luck trying to get that job because that person's getting it. Probably every time.
we just brought in 2 more people full time. Tess gave me a resume the first time I met her. I was like, I don't fucking want this. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, just how are you doing right now? You know, like, just let's talk. Like, I don't even look at them. Like, show me what you can do. You know.
I hear a lot of people that own businesses say like they don't even look at the resume. Like they just want to sit down with the person, have a conversation with them, know who the person is, and because I mean like you can have all the qualifications in the world, but like if you're not going to be compatible in the work environment, what's the point?
Where do you, just out of curiosity, because you're saying you talk with people primarily throughout your day, do you have a ritual that you go through? Do you ever have to prepare? I find that I'm something of an introvert and extrovert, so it's weird. I sometimes like to prepare a lot, or I need to give myself a lot of decompression time after I hang out with people. Do you have, in the business realm, how do you approach that?
One thing I was going to say is that you're really good at this, like just this podcast. Like I do this stuff a lot.
Oh, thanks.
And the way that you ask questions, the way that you follow up shows me, one, that you do your research, but also like you're very good on your feet, which
Thanks,
a lot of people are not good at. So like kudos to you, man.
Killing it.
Yeah, dude.
Thanks,
I think this podcast will be good. Even like all 3 of you are just really brandable, which is what I look at. But in terms of like conversations, like I think I'm a lot like you. Like I don't know what's happened lately, but it's been so easy to sell. Like we're having our best year and it's only Q1. Like it's been so easy, and it's just like because I understand people, you know. There's no ritual, there's nothing like that. Like for the most part, like I don't have anything to do with the day to day. I'm really focused on, okay, where are we going? Looking at things like video games because that's a future story to me. I'm also like just building relationships and selling, and like some team hiring stuff. But yeah, man, like no rituals. Just for me, I focus on one thing a day. Like that's it. Like I do other things, but my main focus, okay, I'm going to hire Justin Jackson, who just accepted today, and I'm fucking excited. But
Yay.
I'm going to hire this person, or I'm going to do this, you know, like just having that one highlight. But I do a lot of research on people. Like I know a lot, man. I consider myself Batman. Like I will know what your child's name is. Like I will know what school they went to, and I will stalk the shit out of you until I know everything and I know how I can make this work. Because that's who I am. I don't think everybody needs to do that. That's just how I am, and I've always been like that.
So for you, because you're working I'm assuming one-on-one with your clients just for your job. Do you have a situation? Do you go through any sort of preparation? Like when you're talking with your clients, can it be draining, or how does the conversation flow when you're in those situations? Like how do you approach that?
Usually I approach it with like the fact that I'm working on people for an hour, and if I didn't talk, it would be even more awkward. So
Right.
usually I'm just asking questions, whether it's about how they're feeling, their body is feeling, what issues they're having, what may have I like kind of what you're talking about. I like digging. I like asking questions.
Yeah.
Because that's how I'm going to get to the root of the problem. So like a lot of people will be like, yeah, I have back pain, but like, why do you have back pain? So like, oh, do you sit a lot at work, or like
Right.
these different things? So that's part of my questioning is like, how did you get to that point?
Sure.
But then also just like, hey, like, what do you do for work, or like what do your kids do, or like do you have kids, are you married, like all these different just types of questions to try and get to know those people. But then coming back, if I'm working on them again and saying, oh, how did this event go, or how was that wedding? So really just kind of trying to connect with people, and make them feel welcomed and like comfortable on my table, because
Totally.
it's very like one-on-one.
Yeah. There's a lot of trust that goes into that, I'm sure.
Yep. So I travel two people, so I'm in their house, I'm in their apartment. So it's definitely, I'm trying to build that trust and build that, it's kind of an intimate, like not in a weird way, but like an intimate, very one-on-one.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Absolutely. And like Baze, I feel like you handle this a lot because you coach so many kids all the time, and you get to see them just
Too many damn kids.
too many damn kids. But do you ever encounter like that you have to go into with a different mindset with like how you're approaching the kids and coaching them, because that's got to be draining. There's just so many people. Or is that just like invigorating because you're such an extrovert?
No, I mean, so for a while I was coaching with ETS Elite in Oakdale, and coaching there I had to go into a different mindset than I do at Concordia, because at ETS, I have a boss, I have people I'm working for. I'm working with different levels of athletes, from 8-year-olds who can't run in a straight line to people who are high-level D1 college athletes. So now I have to be in a work environment where I'm working for someone, but also have to approach each athlete different. Here at CA, I'm the head guy. I'm running the thing. I make all the calls. I make all the decisions. And then I know all the kids, like first name, last name. I know what grade they're in, what their favorite subject is. Like, I know these kids super well. So, and there's no issue for me going in. I have to go to like a certain mindset. It's just, okay, I'm here at work. Let's go. Let's get after it today.
That's impressive.
So yeah, I love it.
That's super impressive.
Dream job. For the time being.
Right.
For the time.
I got plans for the future, but yeah.
What's like your guys' like long-term vision for life?
I have multiple different aspects of that. One is eventually work on professional athletes. That's obviously where the money's at. I can only bring my business so far with everyday people that are paying for bodywork sessions. So working on professional athletes is where I'm going to be able to grow that. So having Stephon Diggs down in Miami doing his off-season work and calls me up and is like, yo, I need you down here for a week. I'll fly you down, pay this much. Like, that's eventually dream goal. But also then growing the podcast and growing the Facebook group into a wellness business that helps other people through their wellness journey as well. So,
Right on.
What about you two?
You want to take it?
I can go. I think I have lots of goals for myself personally.
We know, Beza. We know.
God, I'm just kidding. It's
First
good, it's
thing,
good.
and I have to thank you for this, because I know
God.
we met in a coffee shop about roughly a year ago or so, and
Yeah, we did.
we were talking about,
Did I have a hat on then?
yeah, you definitely have
All right,
that.
sweet.
Yeah, so
Don't pretend like you haven't always had a hat.
True, man.
it's part of your
Just
trademark.
change forms.
But no, you were just telling me, like, because I had all these ideas about, being a YouTuber or like do something on social media, and you're like, dude, just do it. And I was like, wait, what? And you're like, yeah, just do it. Like, don't worry about if it's good or not. Don't worry about, people think. Just, if you want to do it, just go for it. And I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. Like, I kind of want to wait, And I was giving myself all the excuses to, like, not do what I wanted to do. And over the past 3-4 months, I'm like, you know what? Like, he's right. Like, I'm just sitting here like just not doing anything that I want to be actually accomplishing. So, so we started this podcast. Me and Ken, we brainstormed the idea. Went to our guy Lowy. He came up with the logo, and things were just falling into place.
Lowy, like
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah.
Tell him to say hello. That's cool.
Yeah, he killed it. I think he did a really
He did
good
a great job. So now we're doing this podcast. I want to see this podcast grow. I told Ken I want to have a live podcast in 5 years at the State Theater in front of a live audience of like 2,000. So I mean, just having this podcast grow is definitely a goal of mine. I'm starting a YouTube channel in 2 weeks. I'm getting a camera, and then I'm gonna just go for it. I'm not gonna hold back. I'm just gonna start and go. I got lots of great ideas I think will make me stand out as an individual and have my brand be very specific. And then as far as coaching goes, I'd like to be the head strength coach for track and field for the Olympic team here in the U.S. So that's more down the line, but I do want to get there in, 5 to 10 years. So
Respect,
I got tons of goals I want to accomplish. I also love to be an athlete at some point in my life.
You said a what?
An athlete.
Athlete?
Alphalete.
Alphalete.
It's a
I
brand,
thought you said offlete. I was like, what does that mean?
So Christian Guzman, if you're listening to this, love your brand, love everything you do. You're one of my biggest inspirations in life. So, yeah. I'll see you in June in Houston. I'll see you there. So
That's dope.
What about you?
I would say, well, one thing that I've really enjoyed is part of the reason we made this podcast is because we wanted to collaborate. We kind of looked at it almost as like a joint project where we each have segments where we talk about something we really love about cooking in the world, the culinary world or the fitness world. But then we just get to talk about movies we liked or just interview awesome people like yourselves and just to have conversations between a cook and a coach. And so that was one thing that I've been really loving lately, and I have some long-term aspirations for that. I would say that...
You look like a cook. Like, you just,
Do I?
Yeah, you just got that look, man.
Oh, thanks, man. So honestly, right now cooking feels like the clearest long-term thing, and I don't totally know what that means. The first job I had out of college, the first official one, was I was doing marketing for a restaurant group in the cities. So it was like a bunch of different restaurants, and I got to do social media, and I started to learn graphic design, which I hadn't really done before, and I worked with chefs like directly, and I started hearing like the way that they thought about putting together recipes was really interesting, and like working with the president of the company and having her telling me like the real estate side of the business. And I was like, and it feels cocky to say, but I feel like at some point I would love to be in that position where I'm like some sort of conglomeration of like leading a restaurant group in terms of culinary vision and then also business acumen. So
Why is that cocky to say?
I don't know if it's cocky to say. I know the work that it puts in, and so I don't want to come at it like I've recently been seeing a lot of posts about people calling themselves chefs when they haven't put in the work to become a chef, and I just want to show respect for that because I feel like that can be something that isn't always respected.
That's why you said you're a cook?
Exactly. It's progress, yeah. So
Respect,
I would say, like, alluding back to what we were talking about earlier, I think long term, I want to just keep being a storyteller and being open to whatever medium. So right now, I'm just trying to really get good at a few skills. So I'm really leaning into graphic design, really leaning into music and audio production, and then really trying to get good at interviewing with Bays. So
You're already good at interviewing, man.
well, thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, so that's kind of the long term thing. But taking because I always had that pressure when I was young. I was like, I don't want to be labeled. Partly, I think, because it was an insecurity, and also partly, I think, because I was interested in a lot of stuff, and I didn't want to be confined to a certain thing. I had one question for you, just talking about like long-term aspirations and I guess building teams and trying to partner with people and then become more than the sum of your parts. One thing for me, and I think that in certain times I can definitely be like a control freak. It can be really difficult for me to let go of control in certain situations. So you can even hear that in my answer for you when you're asking what do you want to do. It's like, I want to kind of be in charge of all of it. It's like, yeah, partly, but I also know that I need to collaborate with incredible people. And like, that's the only way I'm going to be able to do what I want to do and really make the memories. But I also don't want to lose my vision for what I want to do.
Yeah.
And so you're building teams. Like, how do you hold on to what you care about while also bringing in all these individual, unique people who also have these strong visions that need to be respected and like valued?
Yeah. I made a lot of mistakes, man. Like my first two people I partnered with were 35 and 45, and I was 22. And there was me, like, this is what we're going to do, get the fuck out of the way. You know, that's my personality, which again sounds weird looking at me like 10, 15 years ago, but I'm very, very type A. Like, I've got something and I'm going to get it. You can get the fuck out of my way. And that's, I remember like there was this point for us in the business where I was like, hey, this is going to work. We're going to do this. Both of them are like, no, it's not going to work. We're not going to do this. And I was so rude and so mean, and I destroyed the relationship. And I was right, though, you know. And I leaned into the fact that I was right, not the fact that they were human beings, you know. And I just completely disregarded that. And I was like, I'm fucking right. I'm going to go make money. And honestly, like, being a leader is a lot of emotional intelligence too. It's knowing people, understanding people, being there for people, you know. Like I said, like, we hired this guy that's having a baby, like, understanding that that's my family too. I'm responsible for that. But really, like, when you're building a team, like, you have to be honest with yourself. Like, I know I'm type A. It's why I have Izzy on my team, who was my college roommate. He's the only one that fights with me. He's like, you're a fucking dumbass. And I'm like, fuck you, man. And we go at it. But he's also my best friend, you know, and we know that it's not going to hurt our relationship. Right. We fight. Actually, we don't even fight a lot, but we argue on stuff, and it's productive, you know? And I know that I need that number two. I would say for anyone listening, a good book, if you are building teams, is Rocket Fuel. And it really talks about, it goes through like the entrepreneurial operating system. And it discusses like the role between the visionary, which is me, and the integrator, which is really the person that runs the business. Izzy's the integrator, I'm the visionary. Sometimes it's the same person, but goes through that. But be honest with yourself, like you were saying. Are you that number two? Are you that number three? Are you the number one? You know, be honest with yourself. What are your skills? What do you need around you? Like, our videographers are incredible. You know, our team's incredible. I don't run the team. You know, I focus on what I'm good at. So being honest with yourself and knowing that it's more than just being right. It's also emotional, you know, like, they're people. And be clear with them up front. This is exactly what we're going to need from you. This is exactly what your role looks like. But I've made a lot of mistakes. Our business coach has helped us a lot with all that.
It's I think what I said earlier when he was when Q was talking, I called him the captain of the ship. You have the broad main picture, but you're not down in the hull of the ship making sure that the pressure's right and making sure that, like, this and that, you're literally steering the ship and making sure that the 3 or 4 guys around you that then disseminate that to everyone else, which I think I've gotten a lot of. Like, obviously it's like a military reference, so from my time in the Army, but the person at the top is only telling 2 or 3 people, and then they're disseminating what the vision is to the rest of the team. Right. And so having those really core 2 or 3 people around you that you trust with everything, and to really understand what you're wanting with your vision, and then being able to, like, have the description and have, like, the ways to tell everyone else that's working for you to, like, realize what the broad picture is and what their hand in that is. So
perfect example. You guys should read the Culture Code if you haven't. It talks a little bit about the military too.
Okay.
Like, just analyzes all these different teams and what makes them gel well. It's really good. I love that example.
One question I have for both of you is, what do you think is the future of your guys' industries? Like, you know, with bodywork and everything you're doing right now with your business, and then Q, like, what do you think is the future? I know Q, you've talked a lot about how esports is going to be big in the next, you know, couple decades, and I wonder what you guys think is the future of your industries.
Yeah, so I've definitely seen a rise in wellness, health, wellness, fitness. That whole industry is on the rise. People are realizing that they need to take care of their body in order to live longer, be as healthy and as, like, fit as possible for as long as possible. So that industry is definitely on the rise in a huge way. And I think eventually, which is my, like, main overarching goal, is to change a mindset in people that the Western culture of medicine isn't necessarily attacking wellness and health in the right way. A lot of it is very surface level issues. I could talk about this forever. But
we got time.
Yeah, no. But the Western culture of medicine really looks at very, like, symptoms, top level stuff, versus, like, getting deeper into and I've definitely seen there's definitely a slight change in that thought process, versus, like, MDs versus DOs, which are doctors of osteopathy. Very different. If you go see an MD for a physical versus going and seeing a DO for a physical, there's a huge difference. just in the whole question process. You'll see your MD 5 to 10 minutes. You'll see your DO for 30 minutes to an hour. So that time difference is losing that DO money, but also improving your health, improving your healthcare. There's starting to be a change, and that's what I'm really kind of pushing for, and really trying to improve our wellness, is changing the drug companies and the healthcare companies to be able to really get to those deep surface, like not surface level issues, and really get into the deep issues that are causing those surface level issues. So,
Dude, I love that answer, and this is not answering that yet, but someone that, or an industry that could like really use you is esports, man. Like Germany recognizes esports as a official sport. I'm weird, and I don't have a problem saying this. I know you're big into sports. I love sports too, but esports are going to surpass sports all day. Like, that's just fact. They will be on the same level. There's already athletes making more money in esports than they are in professional sports. Like, big thing they struggle with is like, hey, I'm on a computer 10 to 16 hours a day. Like, my wrist hurts, or my back hurts because I'm sitting all the time, dude. And they have so much fucking money that they don't even know what to do with. They're paying athletes $1 million when they don't even have the $1 million to pay those athletes. It's $25 million to join the COD League. It's like $45 million to join the Overwatch League, dude. There's so much money in it. And these kids do not understand anything yet. So if you just approach the rocker like, yo, dude, I'll do this for free. Just let me do some body work. It'd be genius. But I also think I'm a lot smarter than I am. So just actually do research on that. And don't disregard actual sports either. But in terms of like the future of, I want to say my industry, but I guess my industry now, I would say if you look at like what Instagram did for our society, everybody wants to be a photographer now, or everybody thinks they are. Like, we're all about the cameras, I want to be an Instagrammer. I want to be a YouTuber. And I think people are over obsessing on that. And I think the future of that is going to be more immersive. It's people that can build worlds, actual experiences. So you look at things like Blender or any like rendering thing like Unreal Engine. Like, I can build an actual world. Those are going to be the next generation Instagrammers for me. Everyone's obsessing of TikTok and LinkedIn right now. But I would say look at things like Fortnite. Like the next thing is something like Ready Player One. If you've read that book or seen that movie, it's a world that you're in. Like, it's incredible. Like, the world that you're in, that's the next generation social media. Like, when I was a kid, I had a business in a MMO, in a video game, like that was my world. I had friends there. Like, that's the future. So even for my business, like, we're storytellers. We do video. I'm looking at things like, how do we build an experience in a game? Like, you play Quantum Break. It's literally a TV show and a video game at the same time. But the decisions you make in the video game change the TV show. And it's incredible, Or Detroit Become Human. It's about like androids fighting for their rights. Every decision you make changes changes the entire story. Like, characters die. Like, things. It's just so like crazy, but it's an experience. That's the future. Like, experiences, worlds, immersive. Like, yeah.
So it seems like you may have already answered this question, but I would love to hear you maybe expound on it a little bit. Do you have any, I'll give you an example, then I'll kind of pose it as a question. For me, when I am cooking and trying to come up with interesting dishes, I sometimes will relate it to music. I'll try to have the different elements of the dish represented as if it were a 4-part harmony or something like that. And obviously I'm not doing that very well yet. I'm very much a rookie at this, but I'm trying to think like, all right, this mushroom is more earthy. We could use that as a tenor or a bass. And this lemon zest is very high. And so maybe this could be the soprano, and having those all work together, but then having a focus. It sounds like esports and even like your time in the military might have inspired you in what you're currently doing. But are there any types of art or anything totally not related to what you do right now that inspires you now in what you're doing?
I love that question. So I was a singer-songwriter for like 7 years. Whenever I'm talking to companies, people, like, I always tell them, like, people think brand. Let's just start with brand. Brand is, it's a logo, or it's a person, or it's a look, like you're like, oh, I love your hat, And if you think of your favorite musician, let's say Adele or Ed Sheeran, right? Like, it's not Ed's guitar. That's not the reason you like him. It's not his voice. That's not just the reason you like him. It's not his songwriting ability, right? It's all of it. It's this feeling that you get, right? So for me, my time as a musician, it just impacted everything, because that's how I build brands now. That's how I built up my own brand. It's this feeling, what I want people to feel, you know, and I say it all the time. Like, I want people to be obsessed. I want them to feel like I'm talking right now. I want you to feel like you're fucking on a drug because I'm talking so fast in this pace and I'm eliciting this response, you know? It's like, damn, I can do this. I can run through a fucking wall. Let's fucking go, you know? Like what is a feeling that you want to listen to people? It's a feeling that you want people to feel. Brand is a feeling, but that came from like music, man. Like 1,000%. I think there's a lot of things like that. Like, I take inspiration from, I was reading about the military, you know, like how they build teams, like Navy SEALs, like incredible, like stories in there that I was looking at, and just like this sense of like, I'm never gonna leave you behind, you know. It's just stuff that I've taken into my company, or like even like I don't know, just things like kindergarten classes, you know, how they have everybody involved. Like, there's just a lot of inspiration you can take from weird Places.
Dope. Yeah.
I should never have to go after you. Answer a question after you. It's not fair.
You're killing it.
I'd say, I mean, I grew up playing sports my whole life. I probably picked up a baseball bat when I was like 3. So, I mean, I've been in sports and been around teams my whole life. Time in the military, team, baseball team, I mean, all different, even jobs I've had, lifeguarding, I mean, personal training, those are all different, like, team aspects where you're like combining to like have an end goal. So I would say a lot of like how I've like come up with my business and the different aspects of my business are to kind of come alongside of people in their wellness journey. Their wellness journey is their wellness journey. Mm-hmm. I might be an aspect of that journey, but in the long run, I I have no control over the 24 hours of their day. What I've realized is that in the end, it's on them, and so I need to show them the value and the importance of what I'm trying to teach them and get them to integrate it into their lives. So I have to reverse engineer that and figure out how to best do that, because not everyone's the same. And so I need to figure out different ways in order to get the importance of whatever it is I'm teaching, whether it's stretching or weightlifting or food, like anything that falls under wellness, fitness, and being able to try and not convince, but really get behind people and show them the importance of it, because just telling them is not going to change their mindset and change their everyday life. So yeah.
For anyone who's out there who is interested in like starting a business, developing a personal brand, what's some advice you guys would give to them, just, you know, starting their journey of doing that?
Really look at where your passions are. Like mine are with helping people within wellness. So there's obviously, most businesses are trying to help other people, I would say. And so really trying to figure out how you like to help other people, or what your passions are, because you're going to try and do this for however long, 10, 15, 20, the rest of your life. So really find something that is not work for you. So like for me, going and doing a bodywork session is not work for me. I enjoy that. I enjoy that time. It's not like, I mean, obviously sometimes it's like, crap, but like most of the time it's like, this is super awesome. I get to go help somebody in their wellness journey. And so finding your passion, I would say, is probably the biggest thing. So don't just say, oh, what will make me the most money, because you'll get 2, 3, 4 years into it and you'll hate every second of it. Gary Vee talks about this a lot. But really finding that thing and figuring out how to monetize it. So whatever it is, figuring out then how to monetize it, because obviously we still need to make money. So combining passion and then figuring out how you can use your passion in life to monetize and make some money.
Yeah, I would retweet all of that. From my perspective, I would say one of my favorite quotes is, "It's good to be better, but it's better to be different." If you look at Starbucks, like, they weren't the first coffee shop at all. You know, they were just different. They offered an experience. If you look at Ninja, he's like the face technically for the outside eye of esports, and he's not even an esports player. He makes so much damn money, more than
Multi-millions.
Yeah, just
Crazy.
40K like a day, you know, like ridiculous, and it's just growing. But he's nowhere near the best esports athlete at all. He's just different. You know, he has a brand. From me, you know, like when I was posting on LinkedIn, like one, I don't look like anyone else as is, but like I was a misfit. I was a misfit on the LinkedIn platform. I was different. Still like try to be talented, still try to be the best, but what makes you unique, what makes you different? And honestly, like don't listen so much to people like me. Listen to yourself, because a lot of us like to hear ourselves talk, you know, like find what works for you, be honest, and figure out what works for you. Yeah, but it's good to be better, but it's better to be different.
So this question is kind of just like a wrap up. It's kind of a total tangent, but something we like to do on the show a lot is we talk about movies, music. We do kind of mini reviews. We kind of just have our reaction to them and talk about it. So I chose a couple that were related to, yeah, for sure, 100%, yeah. So I chose a couple, and you can just do like a really quick, like your initial impressions. So we'll start with Josh. I know that, I think one of the first times we met, I think you came over when me and Beza were living at the Gatsby Estate, and you watched one of the episodes of the Gatsby Estate. We had a green lantern outside of the house.
Really?
And, yeah, it was super dope.
Awesome.
Friendly Minnesota, bro. But yeah, so I know you came over for one of the episodes of the last season of Game of Thrones. So just a really quick, like, initial impressions, and that's a lot of sighing, so. But just initial impressions, what were your thoughts on Game of Thrones Season 8, how they wrapped up the show?
Oh, boy. There's so many ways that a show that epic can end. That was probably one of the better ways that it could have ended. I think they ended it a bit abruptly, but I mean, there's aspects of it that are obviously just, it's an amazing show in general. Probably my top favorite show, if not top 3. And so I think they set it up nicely for hopefully some prequels or sequels, because I will be all about it.
I'm just going to say Game of Thrones broke my heart, man.
Damn.
I loved it. Beautiful.
Oh, no.
Beautiful.
No.
Loved it. Loved it.
Arya's the goat.
Arya's the goat.
Truly.
She is the goat.
So Q, for you, we watched your TED Talk. It was excellent. I think you did a really good job. You had a couple images of the Avengers Endgame characters. Just quick review. What are your thoughts on Avengers Endgame? How did they wrap up Phase 3 for you? What did you think?
Yeah, the first time I saw it, I was like, fuck this. I'm so mad. And then I let it linger, and I was like, oh my God, that was amazing. It's like, oh my God, that was really good. Oh my God. And just every day that passed, it was like it was better and better. But it was really just like a gift to the fans, you know? There was a lot of things that maybe I would change, but it was good. It was heartbreaking. You know, it hit me in the gut, so I would give it a thumbs up, even though initially it was a thumbs down for me.
Beautiful. You guys feel good? Feeling solid?
I always feel good, man. I might need some body work, though. My back hurts.
Truly.
I feel that. Really quick, guys, give me your socials. Where can they find you? Where can they get in contact with you? All that good stuff.
Yeah, so I'm at tag, T-A-G, just J-U-S-T-Q on every single platform. Yeah, or just shoot me a message and say, what up, Vulcan Salute, Blackheart, something like that. And I'll be like, yo, that's me.
And the name of your podcast?
My company one is Strange on Purpose. And my personal gaming one is Humans That Game.
I am on Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok.
All right.
All of them. It is The Wellness Habit. And then I also will be dropping my podcast here tomorrow, the 27th, also called The Wellness Habit Podcast. So look for me there.
That's a good name.
Yeah, I thought so.
Right on. Thank you guys for listening. It's been another episode of the Cook and the Coach. I'll see you guys next time.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Beautiful. Thank you guys so much. How's that? That was a good episode. Yeah. Yeah, guys, you can follow me, Beza, at BAEZATENSAIE on Instagram. You also follow our podcast on Instagram, at podcast The Cook and the Coach on Instagram. Guys, you can follow us on Twitter as well, at The Cook and the C1. Again, that's at The Cook and the C1.
All right, you can find me on Instagram, KPMartin2, KPMartin2. Also, if you want to check out my music, I'm on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Music. The EP is called Bucket List. It came out in September. 3 songs, singer-songwriter vibes. And yeah, let us know if you have any questions for the show. If you have any food-related questions, fitness-related questions, please send them in either in the DMs. We also do Instagram polls and questions on there. So let us know. We'd love to hear your feedback and answer some questions on a future episode.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you later.
Bye!